Honey, she loved you, but she was Billy's grandma. She wasn't
Billy and
your
Susan.
grandma.
I was heartbroken. I mean, I was like in
heartbroken.
second or first grade because I was like,
Sweetheart, she was everybody's grandma.
she was like Grandma Frances. Everybody called her grandma.
She loved you guys.
She was your grandma.
She loved you guys.
Oh, I have such wonderful memories of Grandma B. When Susan and I and Grandma Frances, we would go and spend, when Susan would come and visit us in the summers, we would go and spend 4 or 5 days with Grandma B. And I learned how to can jelly from her raspberry bushes. Susan was there too, but I don't think it affected her as much. But
no, like, you're a cook, Susan.
I think that's, I think I'm going to cry, but I think that's the joy of the Lord.
Yeah.
When we all, Grandma and Grandpa B, I remember Freeman Burroughs, like
Betty
was always
loves you. He loves you.
He always did. And he would tell Betty, come and sit next to me.
Yeah.
And this was before I was married. This was when I was at Houghton.
Oh, honey, you were the sweetheart of our family's life, Betty Frances.
And we just, our families blended.
Yes.
And
Mom,
it was the
Dad,
same. It
yeah.
was the same with the Flemings. That when Herb and I got married, the Francis and the Flemings and the Burroughs, we all came together, and that's the joy of the Lord.
Yeah,
because it doesn't. I thought that's how it always was, but it doesn't always happen that way.
It doesn't, and it shocks me to hear people's stories of families that just hate each other and are so vindictive. And I'm like, how can that happen?
I know,
Betty,
did we get the?
I want to tell you Betty.
Yes.
Betty, the first time Mom and Dad Francis came to our house, okay, I was scared to death because my mom and dad were going to meet. Bill wanted to marry me, and I wanted everything perfect. Mom and Dad Francis came in full uniform, and there's my mom and dad, and my mother's serving a meal. Anyway, my mother served everybody, and then everybody left because Mom and Dad Francis were going to sleep up in Michael's room.
Right.
And Dad, my father, my daddy, and Dad Francis kept telling jokes. And they both, and my father, you get him going, and Dad Francis could do that. They were the boys, and they were acting like boys. Then Ma Francis, and you know how Ma was, Liz. Ma got up and she started going upstairs, and she turned around to Dad. She turned around to Mr. Francis and said, Harold, now come along. You've kept the bruises up long enough. And Harold, come on to bed. Come to bed with me. And my father turned to my mother and said, Susan, why don't you ever ask me to come to bed with you? Oh, we all broke up.
Remember that, Marilyn, I was sleeping. Now, before the house was done over, in the front, there was a little bedroom.
Yes, that was my music with the bed. Right.
And that's where I was sleeping. And I heard all this transpire, and it just made me laugh.
Susan, why don't you ever ask me to come to bed to you? Look at Mars. She said, Harold, come on to bed.
I thought you were going to tell the story, Aunt Marilyn, of the first time you met Grandma and Grandpa Francis.
Marjorie going,
yeah, right.
No, I always loved Mom Francis. Oh, that story.
Yeah, of the tavern. Yeah.
My Dad Francis, I was so scared. Bill Francis invited me to go to Troy and to meet his parents. And Betty, I didn't know I'm a holy Wesleyan, we get to Troy and Dad Francis is a humor. He's like my father. Everything's a joke. So here I go, sitting in the back seat, and Mr. Francis says, now, Marilyn, we're going to go pick up Bill's mother. Every Friday night, he hits every tavern in Troy. She goes,
every tavern in town.
Yeah, we're just going to go pick up. By this time, I'm saying, my parents, they'll kill Bill. they've got to get me out of get me home. And then we pull up outside the pub. Up from the stairs comes the most beautiful angel with a full bonnet on. And she got
And
her,
and her little
she
tambourine.
took my hand and I said, "Oh, Mrs. Francis, I was so scared. They told me that you visited every tavern in Troy every Friday night. And I was so afraid you were drunk. I didn't know what to do." She laughed and we went to Thorny's, Betty.
To Thorny's, yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, her laugh never bothered me.
You know,
I miss it.
my algebra teacher in high school,
I do.
Yeah.
Mr. Quinn, owned a bar. And so it was one of the bars that my mother went to on Friday night.
Yeah.
So I could never get away with anything because as soon as he saw her come in the
math.
door, he would go over and tell her, "You need to tell her." And I went, "Oh my God."
Funny.
That was our mom.
Bill, tell what happened when Ma went into collapse right at the right
That
time.
was out on Sand Lake Road, and there was it was a tavern that was way out. It was way out past Albia, you know. But it was not only a tavern, but it was a strip club. It was way out. They paid off the police, and you know, it was a strip. And Mom knew
That
it
was Fan Lake.
We know where this is going. Oh no.
I know this
The guy
story.
had asked Mom, because she was always in uniform. He said, "I'd love to have you come, but please don't use the front door because that, you know, people don't understand. Come in the side door here." So she came in the side door just as they were announcing the stripper, and and here she is, and everybody's clapping, and Mom opens the door.
With her little tambourine.
She walks in with a tambourine, and
Take it off, cried a voice from the rear.
she was embarrassed, but she said, "You know, it was the best night ever."
It reminds me
my
of
grandma, the stripper.
Bill and Billy. Didn't you go to in London, in East End, to the Beggars?
A strip joint?
Oh yeah, no, the blind beggar. The blind beggar.
The Blind Beggar, right? I think I have a picture of you two in front of it.
Yeah,
we went there. That's a funny story.
Billy and I went there.
How old
Yeah,
Grandma? Would Grandpa go out and do the tavern route, or was it only Grandma?
Grandma would go and
would
sometimes
pick
Grandpa
them up.
would drive her, but sometimes I think Walt Wheeler drove her
he
for a
did drive.
while.
Yeah.
And there was a Pete Adigan from
Oh yes.
Albany that drove her a little bit, but he actually tried to put the moves on Grandma, and Daddy got so upset that
you
it
know,
didn't happen after
No,
that.
Mom, when was it then? Did Grandpa do the Grandpa did the tavern run at one point because he had
Oh wait, when he was young, Grandpa used
yeah,
to have
because he had one of the gangsters.
Legs Diamond used to give him a $20 bill. He
I
lived in
Friday.
Cahoes, and he had a Legs Diamond, the
Legs Diamond?
gangster,
In Troy.
had a bar or thing in Cahoes. And every time Grandpa, which was just across the river from
Yeah.
Troy, and every time Grandpa went in, he gave him $20, which at that time what the
That was a lot of
1920s,
money. Yeah.
that was a lot of money.
Yeah.
And he always
He was
would
paying-
give it
he
to
was-
Dad and say, "Now you got to pray for me.
Yeah, that's right.
This is Legs Diamond." So if you
Dad.
ever see a story about Legs Diamond,
My
the
grandpa prayed for
gangster,
him.
Grandpa prayed for him.
And Grandpa would say to him, "That's okay. You're protected. I got the 20."
So that was years before they were married, is what
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
like in the
10
20s.
years, honey.
That was in the 20s.
Oh.
Yeah.
years
Yeah.
before they were married. Gotcha.
10, yeah.
So he was with Betty then. Was that after
He
she
was
died?
probably married. I don't even know
Uh,
if he was married then, if he had married yet. I don't do you know what year he married Betty? Bill?
Well, yes. It was early on because he had gone to training early.
Mhm.
I mean,
So
like,
he married her afterwards.
and then he married her after training when he had left and come
He
back.
left, yeah.
And then, but then you see, then there was at least a decade, at least 10 years.
Mhm.
10
before-
years.
Or
I'm saying it was 10 years before he met mom and
After she died, yeah.
after she died.
I
Yeah.
didn't realize it was even that long. Wow.
yeah, it was a long time.
Yeah, she died right away after their less than a
They
year.
were, I know it. They were only married a
And
very
Died
short
very,
time.
I
very
was a-
quickly. And
Oh.
from all reports, she was a very nice lady.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Marge Willits told me one time, and I wasn't sure that I knew the whole story when Marge Willits told me this,
You probably didn't.
but because I was Elizabeth. And you know who told me the whole story was Aunt Florence
Oh, yeah.
Hare.
Yeah.
But she told me what a beautiful woman Elizabeth was.
Yes.
Mhm.
And
Everybody said that. Yeah.
everybody said that, yeah.
Yeah, but look at Dad Francis, how handsome he was.
He was a
He was
handsome man.
Gorgeous. I mean,
He
he was a hunk.
So
And
did-
he was funny. Oh my gosh.
He was
I
too
didn't
funny.
think he
He-
was always so funny, but he
Always-
really was.
he was always
he was
when
always
did
joking.
Betty die of pneumonia? Was that
No, I
No,
think-
I think she had heart problems.
It was heart, Betty.
or TB? Oh,
It was
okay.
heart, honey. Her
Heart. Okay. I couldn't remember because I know cousin B was tuberculosis or
Yeah.
pneumonia.
Yes, Dad's cousin, Beatrice,
Beatrice,
was-
yeah.
from consumption and pneumonia. And Daddy was kind of a wild guy because I know that he went and took Beatrice from her husband, who was not taking care of her, and brought her back to Uncle Charlie and Aunt Jen's house to
Yep.
take care of her when she was dying.
Mm.
And he did the same.
Catch, let me tell you.
Yeah,
was
he did this.
Poster, he wrote sermons, he did
He
open
did the
air,
same for his grandmother.
player.
Was married again, and the guy was not taking care of her, and he just went into the house and said, "Get away from me, I'm taking her." And he took her, and
His
so
own
he
grandma.
was the social worker,
Guy.
Amy. He was the social worker of us
That's
all.
where y'all get it.
That's where we get it from.
This is so odd because at the end of service today, once it ended, the Klimowskis and I were talking about my weekend with Liam. And
Yeah,
I said to them, I said, because I spent so much time with him. I said, whatever he wanted, especially ice cream,
yeah.
he got it. And then I remembered, I said, I'll never forget Danbury, Connecticut. I was a little boy, and Grandpa said, as he was driving me back home, do you want to get some ice cream?
Yeah.
And I didn't go.
Oh.
And I regret,
You didn't like ice cream.
now
No.
thinking about it, but I was Liam's age. I didn't go. And it's one of those regrets that I had. So
Yeah.
I thought about Grandpa, even with Liam, you want to get some ice cream? This kid's had so much ice cream in the past.
But you know what, Billy? I was thinking about when I was looking at your posts on Facebook and everything with you and Liam and everything, and I was thinking about, and Bill, you back me up, how much Grandpa Francis would have loved Liam.
Oh, my goodness.
He would just have
He would have, yeah, because the name.
I remember,
William,
I remember Dad Francis saying to us, maybe you were there, Betty, but he would say it more than once. And as this was before we were out of the house and before we
Yeah.
were married, but he would reflect on the fact that when he has grandchildren, he can't wait to take them out to ice cream.
Oh.
Said it well when it came
That was, but
when he came to
That
That would
you
have gone
know-
right to my heart, Billy.
before
when
we were
he came
even-
to
yeah,
Billy, just remember the chiclets.
I know.
the chicklets.
Bill, when he
Look,
came
I
to
love it.
Kentucky,
Buttons off
Billy
his
was
shirt.
his
Don't
first
get the
grandchild.
buttons off his shirt.
And he walked in the bedroom into Billy's nursery, and Billy was
William,
tiny white basket. And Dad walked over and he started to cry. And he
Yep.
said, "Oh, Marilyn, my grandson, I can't wait till he's old enough and I can take him out for ice cream.
Scream.
Gosh.
Yeah, he was,
But
He loved you so much, Billy.
I know.
He
Grandpa
couldn't
loved ice cream
a
too,
boy.
and that's what.
you know what? Billy,
I
Billy,
had to have a boy. I had
And
to
Billy-
have a boy for Dad Francis.
Billy, someday, somebody's going to say to Liam, you know, your dad just loved to have you come up on Sunday morning and sing a little song. That's all he wanted you to do.
Yeah, yeah. Did you see that? And he grabbed
Of course we did.
and the whole
Oh,
was moving, and I'm like, oh, I'm good. People are gonna think I'm roughing him up or something.
no, he did not.
It really
Oh,
I was wonderful. It was great.
It was great,
And
honey.
Billy, that's why people love your service so much, because it really
Mhm.
is laid back. I mean, laid back in the good sense of the word, like it's a family. You're just there.
and you can relate to everything that's
Mhm.
going on.
They love that. They love that.